The banking system is failing, but I'm going to show you what it's transitioning to from the old archaic system to a new digital banking system. Traditional finance, the banks that you're used to, are combining with decentralized finance. I'm going to show you what I believe is happening. I'm also going to break down exactly how I'm positioning myself. On this channel, this is not about hype. This is not about hopium or price predictions. This is about facts, figures, numbers, logic, and making informed decisions through logic and sticking with it. Discipline and consistent for a long enough period of time to compound. So I'm going to break down the facts, figures, numbers, logic, and then I'm not going to gatekeep. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing, not financial advice. What I'm doing is empowering you to go make your own decisions. You have access to all this amazing technology here. You can research this stuff. I would love to hear your challenges down below as well. I'd love to hear your thesis down below. But one thing that makes me successful is my discipline, my consistency, buying when it's red. That's where you become wealthy, and selling when everybody's greedy, trying to get rich quick. Okay, so we're first going to break down an older video with Jerome Powell talking about Bitcoin is not a challenge for the dollar. It's a challenge for gold. Then I'm going to show you how the Trump family, because they were being debanked, is not only dismantling the central bank, but they're bringing in a whole new global banking system. And I'm going to share with you how I'm positioning myself, and I'm sticking to it. And I guess we'll see how it goes by 2030. All right, so let's dive into the first video. So the first video I'm going to show you once again, I'm going to get it logged in here, is Jerome Powell. Okay, he's sitting with the Ebook Summit. This was 11 months ago. Okay, now this is him talking about that Bitcoin is not a challenge to the dollar. It's a challenge for gold.
Before I forget, one of the reasons I wanted to actually ask you about Bitcoin is, to some degree, people think that is a symbol of people's faith or lack of faith.
This is important, what he says. A lack of faith in your system. And Jerome Powell says, it's not a lack of faith in the system. Just listen to how he responds to this and listen to what he says about Bitcoin.
In either the US dollar or in the Federal Reserve itself, in terms of the system. What do you think of that idea?
I don't think that's how people think about it. I mean, it's so, people use Bitcoin as a speculative asset, right? It's like gold. It's just like gold, only it's virtual, it's digital. People are not using it as a form of payment or as a store of value. It's highly volatile. It's not a competitor for the dollar. It's really a competitor for gold. That's really how I think of it.
Okay. So I would love to hear how you feel down below, right? But Larry Fink, remember, the largest asset manager in the world, said when you're worried about your country debasing its currency, Bitcoin might be a good move. Now he's a number 2 holder in Bitcoin in the world. Trump came back and ran as the Bitcoin president, the crypto capital of the world. Now his son here, Eric Trump, I've been following, so I studied Donald Trump all way back. I'm studying Eric Trump now. I studied Donald Trump Jr. I'm studying the Witkoff family now. I'm studying what moves are they making and why are they making the moves that they're making. Okay, so this interview was 1 day ago. Eric Trump calls allegations in World Liberty Financial, he calls them laughable, right? So this is a really, really good interview. So I'd highly recommend you pull it up. It's on CNBC television. I was about 1 day ago, and I want you to go watch the whole interview, but I plucked out certain pieces that help strengthen my narrative on what I'm about to share with you on how I'm building my ecosystem. Okay, check this out.
Under Siege, it's called, and in it you talk about crypto a little bit. You say that your family got into crypto because you were debanked by traditional financial
That's a really important part of this narrative.
institutions, and you say that Bitcoin and crypto is an avenue to financial freedom.
Yes.
Why was it important for you to mention crypto in your memoir, and take us through how you were even exposed to crypto to begin with?
Not only was I debanked, so many people in this country were debanked, and every day, millions of people around the world are debanked for no reason whatsoever. I happened to be debanked because my father wore a hat that was red that said "Make America Great Again." And I started getting letters. I got a letter from Capital One, effectively closing 300 of our corporate accounts. I got a letter from JP Morgan Chase, closing 52 of our corporate accounts. I got letters from Bank of America. These are the largest financial institutions on earth, closing our accounts for no reason. These are golf courses. These are condominium associations. These are hotels. These are restaurants that we have in the portfolio. They didn't give a damn. They wanted to take the rails out from under us. They wanted to debank us. They wanted to deplatform us and they want to hurt us. And I realized very quickly that the very same people who are coming after us, those banks were also going after, people in cryptocurrency who just wanted to improve the system. Why is it that you can't send a wire transfer after 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon? Right now that makes complete sense to me as a business guy.
Listen.
Right? JP Morgan wants to hold your money, for 72 hours over the course of a weekend. They want to take the interest associated with tens and tens of billions of dollars that are sitting in purgatory.
Okay, that's really important. I'm narrative based, guys. I'm logic based. Okay, listen to what he just said. I want you to write that down. He said, well, it makes sense for you not to be able to, if you send a wire at 5, right? The bank shut down at night, right? You have to wait over the weekend. It makes sense why it's so slow and archaic, okay? Because they're holding your money, okay? And remember, nostro vostro. There needs to be $1 million on this side, $1 million on this side. Ripple, that's part of my narrative. XRP frees up all that liquidity. So that's why I'm such a big holder in XRP. I understand the solve. What he just said is so important. The banks, the traditional banks are freaking out right now, guys. The reason why they hold onto your money and the reason why they're saying, oh, like it's your money, it should be able to move super fast. They hold it because they're making money off of it and they're paying you pennies on the dollar, which goes into my narrative around decentralized banking and some of my investments I'm going to share with you.
Is that fair to the average consumer? And by the way, is that financial freedom? You literally can't move your money for a 48 or 72 hour period of time. It's insane. It's asinine, right? And so, in cryptocurrency, you can move unlimited amounts of money for virtually zero fees, no middleman, none of these crazy exorbitant banking fees.
No middleman. Key, write that down.
At 11 o'clock on a Saturday, from your cell phone while having a glass of wine with your husband or your wife. Isn't that financial freedom? Isn't that modern finance? Same thing. I mean, try finance at home. You go through a process for 120 days and know your customer with a bank that you banked at for 30 years. Does that seem current? Does that seem technologically advanced? It's not. The banks have had a monopoly on the financial system for years, and they did everything they could to not embrace cryptocurrency until they realized that cryptocurrency had become so big that if they didn't embrace it, they died. They saw the growth of Coinbase. They saw the growth of Robinhood. They saw the growth of DeFi. They saw the trillions going into Bitcoin and in these major capital markets. And now all of a sudden, all the banks are embracing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I got into cryptocurrency because I didn't have a damn choice. They debanked me for doing absolutely nothing wrong. These are golf courses. These are golf courses.
Okay. So he nailed it. And I told you guys by 2020, in 2020, I told you this, by 2025, banks were going to custody your crypto. They don't have a choice, guys. They don't have a choice. Traditional finance and decentralized finance are merging right now. That's why you're seeing the delay in all these things. They're not ready yet, guys. There's not some magical flip of a switch happening. This is a global, listen to me, this is a global change in a financial system, okay? This is coordinated. It's being changed behind the scenes. They all have to move on the blockchain. They're all going to have a stable coin. You have to decide what picks and shovels you want to invest in. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, but I need you to educate yourself. I need you to understand and study and really, really, really understand what you're investing in. Because when you see these red markets, you'd be celebrating right now. You'd be like, wow, I get to buy XRP under $2. Wow, I get to buy Bitcoin under $100,000. Wow, I get to buy WFI at 12 cents. You got to retrain your brain. Okay, we're going to keep this narrative going. Okay, then I'm going to break down what I think is happening.
Concerns about conflicts of interest are complete nonsense. When I spoke with you back in September, you said there is complete separation between church and state. But, the criticism keeps coming. Most recently, more criticism came after your father granted a pardon to Binance founder Changpeng Zhao. Critics pointed to a $2 billion deal Binance was involved in that utilized a Trump family-tied stablecoin. So what's your reaction to that and all the concerns about potential conflicts of interest your father has been getting for his ties to crypto?
There are no conflicts of interest. My father has absolutely nothing to do with cryptocurrency.
Okay, I told you guys what they did. So Trump stepped out. Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Barron Trump, they are running the ecosystem now. Steve Witkoff stepped out. His sons are running the ecosystem now. Their sons run World Liberty Financial. Eric Trump here runs American Bitcoin. Okay, you got to understand the game, guys. They pulled themselves out. They write the rules. They're running the companies. They're very strategic people. Trump is not running any of this. The boys are running the ecosystem. The Witkoff boys are running the ecosystem. Howard Lutnick stepped out, Commerce Secretary. His boy Brandon Lutnick is now running Cantor, a cryptocurrency company. This is your White House, guys. They are making the decisions. The dads are writing the rules. The boys are rewiring the banking system.
We started World Liberty Financial. We're incredibly proud of it. Fastest growing stablecoin on earth. And stablecoins, by the way, are going to bring trillions of dollars back into the US, right? I really think stablecoins save the US dollar.
I agree.
Bringing trillions of dollars back to our shores.
Yep.
My father has zero involvement with our company. He has zero involvement with cryptocurrency. You mentioned CZ. If I've met CZ twice in my life, I wouldn't have his phone number. I'd have no way to get in contact. CZ happens to own the largest exchange in the world. If you're in cryptocurrency, congratulations. You probably transact in some way, shape, and form through Binance. Now, in my opinion, CZ got a raw deal. I don't know him. He's not a friend of mine. I think I shook his hand maybe once at a conference. I know nothing about CZ, right? I do think he got a raw deal, no different than everybody else in cryptocurrency, because the Biden administration was going after absolutely everybody in the industry. And that's why America lost the crypto industry. That's why China was literally, China, Korea, they were eating our lunch. That's why the Middle East was eating our lunch until my father came along and embraced it. But we started World Liberty Financial when they had my father and I in a courthouse for doing absolutely nothing wrong. And since then, we've won every single one of those cases. As they were trying to put my father in jail for 91 fake felony counts, again, every single one of which has.
Okay, so I want you to hear that narrative. This is personal, guys. Okay, so let's break this down. So the first thing that they created was World Liberty Financial. Steve Witkoff and the Witkoff boys linked up with Donald Trump and the Trump boys. Okay, check this out. So if we go down here, I want to show you this. So I've showed you, and I'm going to show you guys the same things over and over again. So I want you to be calm and develop a logical portfolio, a non-emotional portfolio, so that when you see red, you see green. And when you see green, you see exit, okay? Because you got to get profits out of these markets, guys. 10, 10, 20, 25 was a great example. The sideways action the last 6 weeks, and it's going to continue to be bumpy. And if you're emotional about this, you're going to get wrecked. Stop believing price predictions. Stop believing hopium. It is going to wreck you. Warren Buffett style investing. Okay, so this is what I want to show you guys. This is World Liberty Financial. Do you see how about 4 weeks ago, it went to Emiratis One on their names, both Witkoff and Trump? That means they're co-founders, creators, but they no longer run the operation. So this actually changed about 4 weeks ago, right before, I think it was right before the 60-minute interview. Maybe someone saw it earlier, but that's when I saw this change here, right? So you have Eric Trump, Donald Trump, Barron Trump, Zach Witkoff, and Alec Witkoff. I'm studying all these families right here. Okay, they are running World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial has USD1, the fastest growing stablecoin in 2025. USD1 is peer-to-peer. It transacts outside the central bank. RLUSD, Ripple stablecoin, outside the central bank. Tether, USAT now, which is in America, which is 90% stablecoin market, outside of the central bank. Are you getting my drift here, guys? They debanked the Trump family. Trump is writing the rules. Witkoff is writing the rules. Howard Lutnick is writing the rules. And the boys are rewiring the banking system. So this would be, okay, so you got World Liberty Financial. Okay, that's the token. It's eventually going to have DeFi. Okay, it's going to be a DeFi bank. World. This is a world bank. This is an America bank. This is a worldwide bank. Study why they're out in the Middle East, why the Middle East is putting $1 trillion into America. You got to understand what's happening. So World Liberty Financial, in my opinion, I'm putting my money where my mouth is going to be an example of the new decentralized banking system. Traditional banks are going to be rushing to get involved in cryptocurrency. JP Morgan, by the end of this year, you can actually use your Bitcoin as leverage, okay? They told you to look this way. There's a whole nother narrative going on this way. So this is a big part of my investments, okay? Then on the stock side, besides my dividend stocks, okay, I'm a dividend stock guy. I like getting dividends. I like making passive income. This is not a dividend stock. This is a direct stock, direct exposure to the picks and shovel. The gentleman we're just listening to, Eric Trump, this is ABTC is the ticker. It's sitting about $4.43 right now. This is a building America's Bitcoin infrastructure, the backbone. They created a Bitcoin mining company mixed with a treasury. It's mining, treasury, and ecosystem. Okay. This is absolutely remarkable. Okay. So they got the dads writing the rules. They created the infrastructure. They're going to take over the mining of Bitcoin. They're taking over the world in regards to World Liberty Financial. Okay. And then we're going to go into my Ripple narrative. Okay. I've been a bullish on Ripple and XRP since 2020, and I haven't changed my narrative. Okay. I just became bullish pretty recently on WFI and American Bitcoin. Okay. So I got Bitcoin as my gold. Okay. Bitcoin is my gold. You got American Bitcoin. Let's go back here. We got American Bitcoin as the infrastructure, the picks and shovel mining the gold, and a treasury, which gives me exposure to Bitcoin price appreciation eventually with this stock. Okay. So we got the gold, digital gold. You heard Jerome Powell say it's a competition for gold, not for the dollar. I own the WFI, which is a new banking system, American Bitcoin, which is the picks and shovels. This is on the stock side. It's not a cryptocurrency. Okay. Now, my number one narrative and my number one holding is Ripple. And here's the why behind it. This is an old post, but I want to reread this to you guys and remind you and keep you focused. Leading executives of blockchain-based company Ripple Labs meet with President Donald Trump, displaying strong Bohami and potential cooperation in the future. What happened on Tuesday? Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse posted a photo, this is old, of himself and the firm's chief legal officer, Stuart Aldrey, with Trump on X. Great dinner last night with Trump and Stuart Aldrey. Okay, strong start to 2005. Trump was seen giving a thumbs up in the photo. Okay, the reason why I bring this up is because this is what's happening with Ripple. This is what I believe, and I'm sticking with it. This is from how Ripple is building a bridge to the future of cross-border transactions. Okay, so here's my narrative, and then I'll read this to you. So we got American Bitcoin, the picks and shovels. Okay, that's on the stock side. So I own the picks and shovels. I got WFI, the new D. Now that would be a speculative because the DeFi bank is not up and running yet. So that's a speculative investment, but I'm willing to, if I was betting on a horse, I'm going to bet on the horse that's writing the rules. WFI, WLFI, my mumbling. It's WL as in Larry, FI. Okay. That's my new DeFi platform. Did I say Bitcoin already? The gold. Okay. Then we got American Bitcoin, WFI, and then we got Ripple XRP. So I'm getting access to the bridge currency that's going to move all this, not all of it, but it's not a zero-sum game. It's going to move a big portion of the transactions across the rails. Okay, there's tons of trapped liquidity. So Ripple's technology and XRP, the token, like Brad Garlinghouse said, it's at the center of everything they do. XRP is at the center of everything Ripple does. That's going to free up a bunch of trapped liquidity. Okay, WFI is going to be the new bank. Picks and shovels, the mining. Are you getting where I'm going with this? Okay, and then we got gold, the new digital gold. Okay, so let me read this to you around XRP and Ripple. This is a stark contrast to the SWIFT network, the existing backbone of international payments. See, this is where people get it wrong. It's actually a messaging protocol. SWIFT does not move money. Everybody, SWIFT does not move money, guys. It's a messaging protocol connected to 11,500 banks worldwide that handles over 5 trillion in daily payments. Okay, SWIFT doesn't actually move money. Instead, it sends payment instructions. The actual funds are shuffled between banks from Nostro Vostro accounts, which is tied up an estimate $27 trillion in park liquidity before the transaction even settles. Hear what Eric Trump said? He nailed it. That's where I'm tying this narrative together for you. Of course they want it to be trapped up. Guys, they're trading your money overnight. They're lending your money to the next person walking in. The longer they can hold that capital, the more money they can make off it. There's trading happening all the time. Banks make money in 3 ways: interest income, fee income, and capital markets income. The banking system is panicking right now because now you and I can transact with each other. You and I can transact outside the central bank. You and I can be our own bank through World Liberty Financial, eventually through Coinbase right now, guys. You can take your cash out of your bank account. You can put it into Coinbase and you can put it into, don't quote me, I think it's USDC. And you can lend it out to somebody else at 7%. You're the bank. I'm getting 4%. I think it's USDC, right? My apologies if I get it at the USDC. I could look at my Coinbase right now. I actually take my spending account, I put it cash in there and I use my Coinbase debit card. I earn 4%. Like, guys, we are the bank now. That's the reason why there's so much delay with these acts, because they don't want the banking system to completely collapse. They want to transition and then invite you in. Okay. So if you can't handle this volatility, you got to see the forest through the trees. You got to go big picture. You got to go 30,000 foot overview, because you're going to get fudded out. Because there's going to be more manipulation. There's going to be more 10, 20, 25s. Trust me. Okay. Ripple's vision is to replace or complement the system using XRP as a bridge asset. Instead of banks holding foreign currencies in multiple countries, they could hold XRP to facilitate real-time currency conversions. This reduces the need for capital intensive pre-funding accounts and frees up liquidity. If the US businesses want to pay a supplier in Thailand, they would use RippleNet. Ripple pays the network, so the dollars are converted into XRP and sent across the globe in seconds and converted into Thai baht. I cannot, my dyslexia, their currency on the other end. Best of all, it happens within a single transaction. All right, here we are. So here's my narrative, okay? So I'm going to share with you my capital DR strategy, okay? It's cash flow into appreciating assets that have fixed supply, protection. I use cash value life insurance correctly, leverage responsibly, and then I de-risk. The reason why we don't panic when these markets go sideways is because we've de-risked out, we took profits, and we're buying everybody's fear. Okay, we don't focus on price predictions, we don't focus on hoping, we focus on logic, discipline, and consistency. Okay, so let's start with cash flow. Okay, cash flow. I've been at business since 2017. I left Debanking in 2017, started my own business, failed 5 times, and I built 6 ecosystems. Three of them are finally in heavy cash flow. It took a long time. I think my first 7-figure company took me 17, 18, 19, 20, I think like 4 years. And then our second one took about 2 years after that. So it's like riding a bike. Once you get the systems down, then we're about to hit our third 7-figure ecosystem. So I did very well in business, but it took me I got wrecked a lot. Okay. But what I did is as I made more income, I turned it into cash flow. Okay. And you can do this with $10. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to have a ton of money. If you take $10, richest man in Babylon, and you take some of that $10 and you put it into a dividend stock and start creating cash flow, you've already beat the system. You're already winning. So it's about taking $1 and making a brother or sister. All of you need to read the book, Richest Man in Babylon. Okay. So here's what it looks like. I create cash flow. Income and cash flow are different. Income is what you get paid for trading time. Cash flow is what you create from your income. What you're doing is you're spending, then you're saving. You should be saving, then spending. I save and then I spend what's left over. So if you ever see my lifestyle change, that means that the percentage is exactly the same. That means my net worth went up quite a bit, right? So the percentage stays the same because I save, then I spend. So as my net worth goes up, I can spend more on the things that I love because I'm saving like a mother effer. Okay. That was weird. Okay. So I get income from my businesses. I put 10% into dividend stocks. Now I have 2 sources of cash flow coming in from my businesses and from the cash, from the dividends. I get paid on Mondays and Friday, Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays now from 3 different companies. And then I have my dividends coming in every Monday. So then all of that gets de-risked into assets. Okay. Here's my top assets. XRP on the digital asset side, cryptocurrency. XRP by a long shot. Bitcoin is number 2. Solana is number 3. WLFI is number 4. I mix up these 2. XLM and HBAR, number 5 and 6, and VeChain is number 7. Yes, I have many others, but those are my top 3. The concentration of wealth is in XRP, Bitcoin, Solana, and WFI is climbing up to the top. Okay, on the stock side, I don't talk openly about my dividend stocks because they're super high risk, high return, and you got to learn how to de-risk. So I'm not going to talk about it because if you don't understand how to de-risk, you're going to get wrecked because there's massive NAV, a loss of NAV. And if you don't know how to run a business or you don't know how to de-risk out, and people go into lifestyle plays. So just look up dividend stocks. Look up different types of dividend stocks. There's like Coca-Cola, there's synthetic option calls, there's a lot of different things out there. So I have dividends on the stock side, but then my stock side, my single exposure stock would be American Bitcoin. That one I just started adding recently. Okay. So let me slow down. That was very confusing. So digital asset side, XRP, Bitcoin, Solana, WLFI, XLM, HBAR. I think those 2 are flipped. I can't remember. VeChain. And then on the stock side, I have my dividend stocks, and then I have my American Bitcoin. Okay. I'm stacking that right now. And then I get very focused and I stick with it. So that's the asset side. So cash flow. Now we have assets. That's my asset. When these assets appreciate outside of Bitcoin, we're going to move Bitcoin to leverage. Okay. never touching Bitcoin. It's supercharged savings. We'll leverage it in the future. Not now. Do not leverage your crypto. Okay. When my assets appreciate, it's absolutely ridiculous not to pull profits. I don't agree with people not pulling profits. It doesn't make any sense. That is not what wealthy do. Okay. I know everybody's like, oh, borrow against your assets. But if you're maybe Elon Musk, maybe, you have billions of dollars. If you're just starting out as an investor, maybe a couple million, don't leverage your assets. 10, 20, 25. They liquidated 19 billion from the markets. Do not leverage your digital assets. I'm just telling you, don't do it. Unless you have millions and millions of dollars and you understand how to use leverage properly. And I'll explain leverage in just a moment. So when my assets appreciate, I hold 50% of altcoins, 100% of Bitcoin. I exit on the way up as people are trying to get rich quick. I pull it into protection. That's the first thing I do when I pull profits. Okay, everybody's trying to avoid taxes, man. It's like you spend so much energy trying to avoid taxes that you could just make more money. And there's so many different ways you can do it. There's, I just got into a farm deal. I got into a farm deal in Florida, which is 100,000 in. It's going to give me a 4x multiple off my adjusted gross income, right? There's so much stuff you can do out there with taking your capital gains taxes, and you can put it into other deals and generate more income or tax liabilities. Okay. So I stuff money into my cash value life insurance. Okay. Very important. Cash value life insurance gets a bad rap because number one, they're not funded properly. They're not structured properly, and they're selling these retirement policies. They're not retirement policies. Because of tax code 7702A that was created in 1913, you can borrow against your cash value life insurance and it creates a bank tax-free. So imagine if I have 300,000 in my life insurance policy that's principal protected. So you come collapsing down with the bubble and all my cash value is insured. I literally held the value of it doesn't go past the principal insured. And I have permanent life insurance. Something happens to me, my family's Gucci, right? Then I have all this cash value that I can borrow against the richest man in Babylon that stays there. So if I borrow at 5%, I take out $100,000 out of the 300. My hurdle rate's only 5%, add 3% for inflation. That's 8%. I take that and buy Bitcoin that grows 50%. The bull run comes in 2029. I pay it off and I bought free Bitcoin. That's how you leverage without liquidation. Okay. And then de-risk, de-risk. So my high risk, high return dividends, I'm always de-risking out every single Monday into Bitcoin and XRP. When my assets go up, I pull profits. And that's why we stay calm. Get your initial investment out. So I hope this information reaches your heart well. I know these videos are longer, but I'm going to continue to tell you guys my plan. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm going to share with you my portfolio, exactly what I'm doing. I hope it helps, guys. Again, not financial advice. And I'm just trying to empower you to do your own research. This is how I make decisions. It worked really well for me from 2020 to 2024. It changed my family's life and financial freedom. And, now we're working to build generational wealth from 2025 to 2030 and, touch some grass, enjoy your family, eat good food with good people, and protect your ecosystem at all costs. So I love you guys. Warriors, rise. Get your shit together.